San Francisco Bay. Sparkling waters, iconic bridges, and right in its heart, a tiny, desolate island. Not an island of lush greenery, but of gray stone and a chilling, profound silence. This is Alcatraz. From afar, it might look peaceful, almost serene. But look closer, and you'll feel it, the weight of history. The echoes of fear, mystery, and the silent screams embedded in its very foundations. For nearly 3 decades in the 20th century, Alcatraz wasn't just an island. It was a symbol of the US government's war on organized crime. It was the most formidable, most feared federal penitentiary ever conceived. They called it the Rock, and for good reason. Imagine turbulent, frigid waters teeming with strong currents, a constant chilling wind, and a security apparatus designed to be utterly, absolutely escape-proof. It was, in every sense, a living tomb. The island's history as a place of confinement dates back to the 1850s, first as a military fort, then a military prison. But it was in 1934 that Alcatraz truly earned its fearsome reputation. The Great Depression had fueled a new breed of hardened criminals, and existing prisons struggled to contain them. Alcatraz was refurbished, its security dialed up to 11. The mission was clear: create a place so harsh, so isolated, so secure, that even the most desperate inmate would abandon all hope of ever seeing the outside world again. No talking during meals, 1 visitor a month, strictly regimented routines. This was designed to break spirits as much as bodies. And into this fortress came America's most notorious. Men whose very names sent shivers down the public spine. The infamous Al Capone, his criminal empire crumbling, spent his final syphilis-addled years here. Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Though ironically, he wasn't allowed to keep birds here. George Machine Gun Kelly, the flamboyant gangster. These weren't petty thieves. These were men deemed too dangerous, too incorrigible, or too prone to escape for any other facility. The guards had a saying: if you break the rules, you go to prison. If you break the prison rules, you go to Alcatraz. Escape? It was considered an act of pure folly, a suicide mission. Yet, the island's very reputation became a challenge. Officially, no one successfully escaped Alcatraz and lived to tell the tale. 14 escape attempts involving 36 men were made. Most were caught, some were shot and killed, and a few were presumed drowned. But then came 1962, a year that would etch a question mark onto Alcatraz's ironclad legacy. The world had changed. World War II was a memory, but a new kind of unease gripped America. Economic anxieties and social shifts saw crime rates on the rise. It was against this backdrop that 2 brothers from a farming family in Georgia, John and Clarence Anglin, found themselves on a collision course with the Rock. Small-time bank robbers, their fatal flaw was a persistent knack for escaping lesser prisons. Each escape just brought them closer to the one place they couldn't break out of, or so the authorities thought. On Alcatraz, the Anglin brothers, known for their grit and loyalty, soon crossed paths with another inmate, a man whose intellect was as sharp as his criminal record was long: Frank Lee Morris. Orphaned young, Morris had spent much of his life in institutions, developing a keen mind and an almost obsessive talent for escape. He was reported to have an IQ in the genius range. He was cool, calculating, and patient. Alcatraz was meant to be his final stop. But for Morris, it was just another puzzle to solve. He began to meticulously study the prison, its routines, its weaknesses. He found one in the aging concrete and the ventilation system. Morris's audacious plan attracted the Anglin brothers. Another inmate, Alan West, also joined the conspiracy. Their target, the ventilation grills in their cells. Under the cover of darkness, and often during the prison's music hour, when sounds were masked, they began the painstaking work. Using sharpened spoons, nail clippers, and a drill improvised from a vacuum cleaner motor, they chipped away night after night at the concrete around the grills. It was grueling, terrifying work. Discovery meant severe punishment, possibly even D-block, the dreaded solitary confinement cells. For over 6 months, this clandestine operation continued. They even fashioned a makeshift periscope to watch the guards. But digging was only half the battle. They needed decoys, using a bizarre mix of soap, toothpaste, concrete dust, toilet paper, and real human hair scrounged from the prison barbershop. They sculpted astonishingly lifelike dummy heads. Each night, after lights out, these heads, complete with painted skin tones and hair, would be placed on their pillows to fool the guards on their rounds. It was ingenious, a testament to their desperation and creativity. They also stitched together over 50 raincoats, stolen or procured over months, to create a makeshift raft and life vests, using steam pipes to try and vulcanize the seams. June 11, 1962, the night of the escape. Everything was set, but there was a hitch. Alan West, whose cell was the staging ground for some of their tools, found his vent opening was too small, or he couldn't remove the grill properly. He was left behind. Undeterred, Morris and the Anglin brothers squeezed through their openings into the unguarded utility corridor behind their cells. They climbed to the roof, navigated the labyrinth of pipes and vents, and shimmied down a 50-foot drain pipe on the exterior wall, landing near the water's edge. There, they inflated their makeshift raft, possibly using a concertina stolen from another inmate as a bellows, and pushed off into the treacherous, icy waters of the San Francisco Bay, aiming for Angel Island, 2 miles away. The next morning, the routine count revealed the impossible. The dummy heads were discovered. The alarm sounded. Alcatraz was in lockdown. An unprecedented manhunt began, involving the FBI, Coast Guard, and local authorities. For days, they scoured the bay and surrounding lands. Pieces of the raft and paddles were found washed up on Angel Island. A wallet containing names and addresses related to one of the Anglins was also recovered. The official conclusion? The men had drowned in the frigid waters, their bodies swept out to sea by the powerful currents. Case closed? Not quite. For 17 years, the FBI kept the file open. No bodies were ever definitively recovered. Over the decades, whispers and theories persisted. Did they make it? Some family members of the Anglins claimed to have received postcards and signed for years after. There were alleged sightings in South America. In 2013, a letter surfaced purportedly written by John Anglin, claiming they had all survived, that he was 83 and suffering from cancer, and offering to turn himself in for medical treatment if he was guaranteed no more than a year in jail. The FBI analyzed it, but the results were inconclusive. The official story of their demise was convenient. It preserved Alcatraz's reputation. But just a year after the escape, in 1963, Alcatraz was closed. The official reason was the high cost of operation and the crumbling infrastructure. But the escape undoubtedly cast a long shadow. President Donald Trump's later claim that Alcatraz, nobody ever escaped, simply reignited the debate. Today, Alcatraz is a major tourist attraction. Millions visit each year, drawn by its dark history and the enduring mystery of that 1962 escape. Did Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin perish in the cold, dark waters of the bay? Or did these three men, against all odds, pull off the impossible, outsmarting the world's most secure prison and vanishing into thin air, living out their lives as free men? The truth, perhaps, lies somewhere in the deep blue, or maybe, just maybe, it lives on in the quiet satisfaction of three men who tasted freedom when no one thought they could. What do you think happened? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more unsolved mysteries.